So then obviously before that, obviously clear roles and responsibilities are key for individuals. So I guess how do you define them? Because obviously things are evolving so quickly.
How do you define them? Usually, you know what you're looking for. Usually, there's a skill set you're looking for, right? And there are a type of person that you are looking for. And very often, unless you can really work with a person, it's almost like a flip a coin. Okay. I will be honest, I have made very great hirings in the past, but at the same time, I have also made mistakes. Mistakes where, person with really credible degrees and the person talks really well and can tell me about data and how he will go about this data and how he will learn, apply. I try to ask all the questions I'm trying to express right now, how to connect the dots, communication, and I even give
Mm,
sample tests just for the person to analyze the situation and come back to me. But then that can be you can still be fooled by someone because until you start working with a person very consistently, you really wouldn't know the person's strength and weaknesses, right? So the
mm,
best way to leverage someone is to have a large enough team where you can reshuffle. You can reshuffle and you can rewrite that description based on weaknesses and strength.
yeah.
And very often that's the probably the best way to continue to nurture your team. So you build a team based on the job descriptions that you think you want and your
Hmm.
company wants you to hire. And once you hire the person, if the person is worth keeping, I would reshuffle within the team and make sure that you do cross functional training and you have one shadow the other. So they are constantly learning from each other. And the more you coach and mentor them, the more you're going to realize, this person would be really good at doing analysis here, but not so good in terms of connecting dots. We're not so good in
Mm.
terms of bringing data in. Or somebody who would have a photographic memory of the data that you have in your data mart and how you access it and all the ins and outs. So right away, that person is probably very good with technology and very good with organization. So you use them for different things.
Mm.
So I think flexibility on the manager side is very important. And communication, I know we're going to go back to communication. I keep on leaning on the soft skills. The reason I keep on leaning on the soft skills is soft skills are so much harder to come by for the quantitative people. So,
Mm.
Ben, tell your story. So, I would say for the first 20 years of my career, anytime when I try to update my resume, I go after the ROIs I've delivered, really
Mm.
quantifiable. This is the ROI I brought in. This is a percentage. This is a revenue. This is what I did. And as I continue to mature in my journey, I realize that technology data can be leveraged and analyzed by a lot of people. Okay. And the results can be achieved. But then how do you communicate and how do you make people want to stay with you, listen to you, be loyal to you, and go that extra mile for you is where most data people don't know how to be because
Mm.
we are likely to be transactional, to want to say, well, the data says this, so this is what we should do. We sometimes will forget the nuances or the softer sides of things where make people realize that you are the best boss to work for and they always want to
Mm.
follow you from job to job. And that's what you want because that's how you build a very strong data team is to have the
Mm.
best people you have ever worked with continue to follow you.
It is a fun because some people do excel on different people. You see it with sports people. I'm a football fan and a soccer fan, and a
Yeah.
soccer fan for obviously American listeners. And footballers are amazing at one club, and then they move to another place, and then they just absolute this. Yeah, they just lose their credibility. And so it's similar in business as well. People that really excel, and then it's just not either they've, I guess, not got the right working environment for them, or something's. Everyone's got a trigger, haven't they? Some people need their hand held by managers or someone to look up to. So I guess it's that environment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's involvement. And like you said, handheld by a manager. How much work can you actually produce and what kind of impact can you actually create if you have to handheld people,
Mm.
right? So you want to create other data leaders that can create more data leaders or nurture more data leaders. So that's a very different way to think about work
Mm.
for many younger data professionals.
Yeah, no, yeah. And also, I love the book Think and Grow Rich, and obviously, if you get all masterminds in one room, some people just bounce off each other, don't they? You get them different type of people.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that if you got a team just got that's just like a puzzle fits together. I think people just excel. It's just, obviously, some teams luckily they get it, and obviously others it can take time to attract that sort of team.
Let's talk about that because you hit on something that I had it in my written answer, but I haven't say it here is really diversity of thought, right?
Mm.
And that's so important. And sometimes I forget about it when I'm just geeking out because you just look at me. I came from a different country. I have different upbringing. I have music, and I talk to you about how music is the same as math, So I think everything is interconnected. So the more different type of ideas, thinking patterns, perspectives, even if it's one that I don't agree with, we can learn a lot from each other. So having a diversity on your team
Mm.
and have different skill sets that complement each other and try to grow and amplify their strength. Because I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, very often it was more about, oh, she's not really good at this, so she should make that better. Like my dad was like, oh, you're failing math, you should do better in math. But I was like, no, I'm just going to play the violin until I did not want to play the violin, couldn't speak the language, and then suddenly became really good in math. Right? So my point is that we need to amplify the strength that we have, and that would help us minimize our weaknesses. And by having good compliments to ourselves, then we can learn from each
Mm.
other. Because it doesn't matter how many years you have in the industry or in the business, you can still learn from everyone. And I think everyone has value in terms of contribution, but the team has to gel. Team has to
Mm.
gel, and we need to have each other's back and support. And this is how you get people to work really hard on the project on the weekends.